The alien research station floated silently in the cold emptiness of space. It was a massive structure, with long arms stretching into the void, filled with sensors and observation equipment. The station was home to a group of alien scientists who had studied many intelligent species over thousands of years. They were proud of their knowledge and thought they could understand any race, but humans were different. The aliens had watched humans for decades, and they thought of them as weak, slow, and mostly harmless. Humans rarely used weapons beyond simple missiles, and their ships were small and slow compared to others in the galaxy. The station's main observation room was filled with glowing screens and strange devices that measured energy, radiation, and movement. A group of scientists gathered around the largest screen, which showed a small blue planet. They had detected a human fleet entering a nearby system. The fleet was mostly cargo ships, moving steadily through the void. At first, the aliens found it boring. Cargo ships were predictable, they thought, but then their sensors began to pick up something unusual. One human ship, a small research vessel, started emitting strange energy readings. The energy was unlike anything the aliens had seen before. It did not match any known weapon or propulsion system. The readings were low at first, almost too faint to detect, but they grew steadily stronger. "Check the sensors again," said a tall alien with pale green skin and long, delicate fingers. His voice was sharp, and his eyes glowed faintly as he studied the screen. "This cannot be correct. Human technology cannot reach this level." A younger alien with blue markings across his face quickly rechecked the readings. "Sensors are functioning properly. The data is correct. The humans are charging something." Another scientist with silver scales covering her arms shook her head. "It must be an error. Humans do not have weapons that can produce this much energy. Their ships are too small. This is impossible." The tall alien frowned. "Impossible or not, it is happening. We need to watch closely." The humans aboard the research vessel were unaware of the attention they were drawing. In a small control room, a human engineer adjusted dials and monitored gauges. The ship hummed quietly as a long, metallic tube pointed toward the empty space ahead. The engineer was calm. This was just another test. The railgun they had been developing for years was almost ready for a demonstration. He checked the charge levels and nodded to his captain. The captain, a woman with short brown hair and sharp eyes, looked at the readings. "Everything looks stable. Let's run the test." The engineer pressed a sequence of buttons, and the railgun's charging system began to hum louder. Energy surged through thick wires and coils. A faint blue glow ran along the barrel. Outside the ship, sensors picked up the rising power levels. The aliens on their distant station saw the energy spike and gasped. The young blue-marked alien turned to the tall one. "What is that? That energy is off the charts. It should be impossible for humans to generate that level without a large reactor." The silver-scaled scientist moved closer to the screen. Her eyes widened as the energy levels continued to rise. "It is a railgun," she whispered. "I recognize the pattern. But no human ship should be able to produce this much force. The calculations do not match their technology." Back on the human ship, the railgun reached full charge. The control room was tense but calm. The captain gave the order and the engineer fired. A metal projectile shot out of the barrel at incredible speed. The railgun's recoil shook the small ship slightly, but it held steady. Outside, the projectile raced through space, moving faster than anything the aliens had ever tracked. Their sensors struggled to follow it. The projectile moved millions of kilometers in seconds, its path almost a blur. The aliens stared at the screens in disbelief. "It is moving too fast," the tall alien said. "Our sensors cannot keep up. No human weapon should reach that speed." The young alien looked pale, though his skin was naturally blue. It hit the target," he stammered. "The moon, the projectile destroyed it." The screen showed a distant moon breaking apart, large cracks running across its surface. Dust and rock floated into space. The alien scientists sat frozen, unable to process what they were seeing. The human ship's weapon had torn apart an entire celestial body with a single shot. The silver-scaled scientist leaned forward. "This is unbelievable. They used no exotic energy, no antimatter, nothing. Just a simple projectile and magnets, and it destroyed the moon." The tall alien shook his head slowly. "We have underestimated them. Our assumptions were wrong. Humans are not what we thought." On the human ship, the crew watched the aftermath calmly. The captain spoke into the comms system, giving a brief report. The engineer checked the railgun status. "All systems normal," he said. "The test went as expected. We can increase power next time." The aliens were stunned. A debate erupted in the observation room. "We must warn the fleet," one alien said. "If humans have this weapon, they are a threat." Another alien shook her head. "No, they are peaceful. Their fleet is small. This may just be a defensive tool. But even so, the power," she trailed off, staring at the screen. The tall alien stood silently, his glowing eyes fixed on the image of the broken moon. "We cannot dismiss this," he said finally. "We need to understand humans better. If one ship can do this, what else are they hiding?" The younger blue-marked alien nodded. "We should send more probes, scan all human ships, and watch their test programs closely. They cannot be allowed to catch us unprepared." In the human ship's control room, the crew prepared for another test. They discussed plans to improve the railgun, unaware of the panic they had caused. The captain smiled slightly. "We are ready for the next stage. Let's make it faster, more accurate." Back on the alien station, the scientists watched nervously as humans adjusted their weapon. The energy spikes became more unpredictable, and the aliens realized that humans were improving at a rate they could not follow. Every calculation, every estimate they had made was wrong. Humans were not just strong, they were clever, resourceful, and fearless. As the night cycle passed on the station, the aliens tried to sleep, but none could. They ran endless simulations and calculations, trying to find a weakness in human technology. Every model failed. Every prediction was wrong. Humans were already far beyond the level the aliens had assumed. A senior scientist, normally calm and logical, muttered under his breath, "They are not weak. They are dangerous, and we do not even know how far they can go." In space, the human ship continued its slow journey, testing, measuring, improving. The crew worked together smoothly, every move precise, every decision calculated. They trusted their technology, but they also trusted each other. Outside their small windows, the stars stretched endlessly, but none could see the alarm they had caused in a distant alien station. The part ended with the alien scientists staring at their main screen, hearts racing. A senior advisor spoke quietly, almost to himself. "If they can do this with one ship, what can they do with more? We may have underestimated humanity our entire lives." For the first time, the aliens truly feared humans. They realized that they were no longer observers of a harmless race. They were witnesses to the rise of something far stronger than they could imagine, and they had no idea what humanity would do next. The aliens could not stop thinking about the humans and their weapon. The images of the shattered moon stayed on their screens, haunting them. Every calculation they made proved the same impossible truth. Humans had built something far beyond what any other race had developed in the same time. Alien leaders called emergency meetings, and the research station was filled with tension. Scientists argued with military advisors. One side said humans must be contained before they became a threat. The other argued that humans had done nothing aggressive, and attacking them could be dangerous. Meanwhile, the human crew continued their experiments. The small research vessel moved slowly through the system, testing the railgun against different targets. First, they tried asteroids, then empty space, just to record the results. Each time, the railgun fired a solid metal projectile at incredible speed. The targets were destroyed instantly, sometimes vaporized, sometimes shattered completely. The human crew observed calmly, taking notes, adjusting power levels and discussing improvements. Back on the alien station, the young blue-marked scientist replayed the data for the 10th time. He could not believe it. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the screen. The projectile traveled nearly 500,000 kilometers in seconds. It hit perfectly. No shields, no defense. Nothing could stop it. The silver-scaled scientist paced nervously. If one ship can do this, imagine a fleet of humans. They would be unstoppable. The tall alien with pale green skin did not respond at first. He studied the screen quietly, then spoke with a low voice. "Our entire military strategy relies on speed and energy shields. If humans can bypass that with simple projectiles, all our defenses are useless." We underestimated them. Alien spies had already begun gathering more information. They intercepted communication signals and ship data from the human fleet. Every message they decoded showed humans speaking casually about upgrades, improvements, and tests. There was no panic, no hurry, only careful planning. The aliens were shocked. Even their most experienced commanders could not hide their fear. On the human ship, the crew prepared a new test. They wanted to see how the railgun performed at maximum energy. Engineers worked quickly to increase the magnetic acceleration, strengthen the projectile, and ensure the ship could handle the stress. The captain watched over their work with calm authority. She knew the importance of control. The first shot was fired at a distant asteroid. The projectile moved faster than ever. The asteroid shattered into thousands of pieces. Sensors recorded the speed, energy, and accuracy. The human crew checked every reading, nodded, and prepared for the next test. Each shot was more precise than the last. Their understanding of physics and engineering was growing with every trial. In the alien station, alarms rang as the next human test began. The projectile traveled so fast that sensors could barely track it. The impact was recorded in slow motion, revealing every fracture in the asteroid. The aliens watched in silence, unable to hide their fear. "It is not just speed," said the young blue-marked scientist. "The humans understand trajectory, energy transfer, and impact effects better than any species we have studied. This is intelligence, not luck." The senior scientist shook his head. "They do not even need exotic energy. No matter shields, no quantum barriers. The human projectile ignores all of it, and they built it on a simple ship with small reactors." On board the human vessel, the crew discussed plans to scale up. They wanted to test multiple projectiles, faster acceleration, and longer ranges. They believed in careful preparation, training, and understanding. The captain smiled. "Humans do not fight without purpose. We prepare first. That is why we survive." Back on the alien station, the military advisors argued fiercely. "We cannot allow humans to continue. One fleet, one colony, and they will dominate the sector." The scientists shook their heads. "Attack them. That would be disastrous. They do not even attack first. Their railguns are defensive, precise, controlled. They do not seek chaos." But the knowledge we have, it is alarming. The debate continued for hours. Some aliens proposed sabotage, spies, and secret attacks. Others warned that humans were too clever to be tricked. One experienced scientist finally said, "We must learn from them, not destroy them." We underestimated their creativity and willpower. If we continue on our path, we will face a species stronger than us in every practical sense, and we are unprepared. Meanwhile, the human crew had moved to a larger asteroid field. They wanted to test multiple targets and record complex impacts. The railgun fired again, launching multiple projectiles in sequence. Every shot was precise, shattering asteroids, creating controlled debris fields. The humans studied the results carefully. They discussed each shot, pointing out improvements, small adjustments, and the physics behind every effect. They were calm, focused, and entirely in control. Alien scientists observed with growing dread. They had expected humans to be weak, unpredictable, or slow. Instead, they were methodical, precise, and consistently brilliant. The aliens realized that humans had no weaknesses that could be exploited by conventional means. Every plan they tried to imagine to stop or outmatch the humans failed in their simulations. The station's command center was quiet except for the hum of computers. The senior alien scientist spoke to the council. "We have two options. We either attempt to strike humans before they develop more powerful weapons, or we continue to observe and learn. But strike and we risk total failure. Observe and we may find a way to coexist if we are lucky." The debate was interrupted by a sudden alert. Alien sensors detected a new power surge. The humans were preparing a shot at a target farther than any had gone before. The energy required for the next test was massive, far beyond what the aliens had anticipated. The young scientist whispered, "If they fire at full power, it may exceed our measurement limits. We may not even know what it will do." Back on the human ship, the crew was ready. They double-checked systems, calculated energy distribution, and verified targeting systems. The captain gave the order. The railgun charged fully, humming with immense power. A faint blue light bathed the control room. Outside, the ship shook slightly as energy built in the coils. Then, the projectile fired. It raced across millions of kilometers, its speed incredible. Alien sensors tracked it with difficulty. It hit a distant, dead asteroid with such force that the asteroid shattered completely, leaving behind a cloud of fragments. Some fragments collided with other small objects, creating a chain reaction. The alien station recorded everything, but the scientists were speechless. This is beyond anything we have seen," the silver-scaled scientist said, voice shaking. "It is precise, controlled, and deadly, but no casualties, no aggression. They are not seeking war, yet they are unstoppable." The tall alien turned away from the screen. "We have underestimated humanity. Every assumption, every calculation, every model wrong. They are stronger than any race we have encountered at this stage, and they do not even realize it." The young, blue-marked scientist shivered. "If one ship can do this, what happens when humans decide to fight together? One fleet, one coordinated strike. We could not survive it." Back on the human ship, the crew continued their work as if nothing extraordinary had happened. They tested, recorded, and prepared for the next experiment. For them, it was routine. Every success was a step toward understanding, not a weapon to dominate. Their focus was discipline, preparation, and learning. On the alien station, fear began to spread. The once confident scientists and commanders were now filled with doubt. They had thought humans were weak, but the railgun tests proved them wrong. Humans were clever, adaptable, and precise. Their technology was simple but effective, built with understanding rather than luck or brute force. As the human vessel moved deeper into space, the aliens continued to watch. Each new test, each new experiment was another proof of human skill. They realized that humans were not just another species to observe. They were a species to respect, to fear, and perhaps to learn from. The part ended with the Alien Council meeting again, tension high. The senior scientist spoke quietly, almost sadly. "We are no longer observers. We are witnesses. Witnesses to the rise of a race we cannot ignore. If humans continue at this pace, they will surpass all expectations. And we are not ready for what comes next." A heavy silence filled the chamber. The images of the human railgun, shattering asteroids and moons with ease, were still glowing on every screen. The aliens had no answers, only questions. And the humans, far away, continued their work, calm, focused, and unknowingly terrifying every alien who watched them. The Alien Council continued to struggle with the reality of human technology. Meetings stretched for hours, with debates growing heated. Military advisors argued that humans must be stopped before their power grew uncontrollably. Scientists, however, warned that humans had shown no aggression, only careful testing and preparation. The council was divided, unsure whether to act or continue observation. Every simulation, every prediction, only reinforced the terrifying truth. Humans were far stronger and smarter than they had ever imagined. Meanwhile, the human vessel moved into a contested sector of space. The crew was focused, carefully navigating through asteroid fields and monitoring nearby anomalies. The captain studied the navigation data, noting gravitational shifts and energy signatures. The engineer adjusted the railgun, improving its firing rate and energy efficiency. Each shot in previous tests had provided valuable information. The humans discussed upgrades casually, as if their achievements were routine. This calm approach unnerved the alien observers even more. Humans displayed no fear, no arrogance, just quiet confidence and precise planning. On the alien station, the young blue-marked scientist presented the latest findings to the council. Their railgun has no equal in this sector. Every test shows increasing accuracy, speed, and destructive power. Their understanding of physics and trajectory surpasses our models. It is not just technology, it is intelligence and skill combined. The tall, pale-skinned alien frowned. Our fleets and stations are obsolete against a single human ship, and they are improving constantly. We must consider all scenarios. The silver-scaled scientist interjected. We cannot attack them without risking disaster. Their tests show they can disable large structures with minimal effort. Even if we tried a preemptive strike, they would survive and retaliate. The council fell silent, the weight of the situation settling over them. They had always believed humans to be weak, simple, and predictable. Now, every assumption was shattered. Humans were clever, resourceful, and fearless. They had built a weapon that ignored conventional defenses and continued to improve it with methodical precision. The human crew prepared for a new experiment. They chose a distant asteroid cluster as the target. The engineer calculated the energy needed for multiple projectiles, adjusting magnetic coils and power distribution. The captain checked all systems, ensuring stability and accuracy. The crew worked together smoothly, each action precise and deliberate. Their confidence was calm but unshakable. They were not demonstrating power for conquest. Every calculation, every shot was for understanding, for knowledge, for mastery. The railgun fired, sending multiple projectiles into the cluster. Each shot struck with pinpoint accuracy, shattering asteroids into fragments, creating a controlled debris field. The humans recorded every impact, analyzing data for trajectory, energy transfer, and material response. They discussed minor adjustments, small improvements, and the physics behind every shot. Outside, space was filled with the aftermath of controlled destruction. Inside, the human crew remained calm, focused, and entirely in control. The alien observers were horrified. The projectiles moved faster than anything their sensors could track accurately. The impacts were precise and devastating. Shields, barriers, and defensive systems were useless against such controlled force. Alien scientists replayed the data over and over, unable to comprehend how such power could come from a simple human ship. Each test, each shot, demonstrated intelligence, planning, and technological mastery far beyond what the aliens had expected. A senior alien scientist spoke to the council, voice shaking. One human ship, and they can disable large structures with minimal resources. Imagine a coordinated fleet. Imagine their strategic thinking applied to warfare. We are unprepared for a race like this. The council debated late into the cycle. Some argued for containment, for strikes to prevent further development. Others warned that any aggressive move would provoke disaster. The aliens had no answers. Humans had not attacked, yet the power they demonstrated made any conventional response impossible. The fear in the council was palpable. They were no longer confident observers. They were cautious, worried, and deeply uncertain. Meanwhile, the human vessel approached a strategic location near an uncharted sector. They had received reports of anomalies, gravitational disturbances, and scattered debris fields. The captain decided to navigate carefully, testing the railgun against natural targets while observing space phenomena. Each shot provided valuable data on energy propagation, projectile behavior, and environmental interaction. The crew discussed results calmly, adjusting their calculations and improving the system. Every experiment made the railgun more precise, more powerful, and more reliable. Back on the alien station, the scientists and military advisors watched with growing concern. "They understand their weapon better than we understand ours," said the silver-scaled scientist. "They do not rely on force alone. They rely on skill, knowledge, and preparation, and they learn faster than we can predict." The tall, pale-skinned alien nodded. "Every calculation we make about them is wrong. We underestimate their creativity and adaptability. If humans decide to expand or defend themselves in conflict, no system we control is safe." Alien spies intercepted communications between human ships. They recorded discussions about upgrades, tests, and improvements. Every message emphasized discipline, preparation, and learning. Humans were not reckless. They were careful, methodical, and intelligent. The aliens realized that this was not just a technological advantage. It was a mindset, a way of thinking that gave humans an edge no other race seemed to have. The human crew continued their work, testing, recording, and improving. They fired at distant asteroids, adjusted power levels, and analyzed every fragment. Each test was a lesson, each shot a step toward mastery. They were calm, precise, and focused. Their confidence came not from arrogance but from preparation and understanding. The alien council met again. Tension filled the chamber. "We cannot attack them," said one advisor. "They are too powerful, too smart. Even a preemptive strike could fail. They may not even fight back aggressively, but they will survive and our forces will be compromised." The senior scientist spoke quietly. "We must continue to observe. We must learn from them." But even observation is dangerous. They are already beyond our expectations. Every day they advance and we do not know their limits. The council fell silent. Every screen displayed the railgun firing, asteroids shattering, debris scattering. The aliens realized that humans were not merely surviving in a dangerous galaxy. They were mastering it. They were strong, clever, and relentless in their pursuit of understanding. They had no desire for conquest, no desire for unnecessary aggression, but their power was undeniable. In space, the human vessel continued its slow, deliberate path. They tested, recorded, and analyzed, always learning, always improving. Each shot was precise, each calculation deliberate. They trusted their knowledge, their technology, and each other. Outside their small windows, the stars stretched endlessly, but none could see the alarm they caused in the alien station. As the part ended, the aliens realized a chilling truth. Humans were not only capable of defending themselves, but they were already far stronger than the aliens had ever imagined. One ship, one crew, one railgun, and they had shattered assumptions, broken models, and terrified observers. The aliens were no longer confident. They were cautious, fearful, and uncertain. Humanity had risen, quietly, deliberately, and with a skill that left the galaxy watching in awe and fear. The alien council was tense. They had watched human technology grow more powerful with each passing test. Every new railgun experiment was precise, controlled, and devastating. The aliens had never seen such a combination of intelligence and skill in any species. Military leaders debated about containment, about preemptive strikes, but every calculation ended the same way: failure. Humans were clever, methodical, and unpredictable in their planning. Attack them, and the aliens risked disaster. Meanwhile, the human fleet continued to move slowly through the contested sector. The crew of the research vessel remained calm, monitoring instruments, adjusting calculations, and preparing for their next experiment. They chose a small, uninhabited moon as a test target. It was close enough to observe effects in detail, yet isolated enough to be safe. The captain discussed strategy with the crew, outlining energy distribution, firing sequence, and projectile design. Each member knew their role, every calculation verified, every adjustment precise. The railgun charged, humming with growing energy. The projectile was carefully aligned with the target. The engineer ran final simulations on the firing computer. "All systems stable," he said. "We can fire." The captain nodded. "Do it." The shot traveled at incredible speed, faster than anything the aliens had tracked. It struck the moon with surgical precision, cracking the surface and sending massive fragments into space. The humans observed carefully, recording data and noting the behavior of the debris. They discussed minor adjustments for the next shot, refining calculations and testing new methods to improve efficiency. On the alien station, the scientists watched in horror. "They are precise," the silver-scaled scientist said. "Every shot hits exactly where they want. No error, no randomness. They are controlling physics itself." The young blue-marked scientist added, "And they do it calmly, without panic, without unnecessary aggression. Their control is perfect. They are not cruel, they are precise." The tall, pale-skinned alien paced in the observation room. "Our fleets, our defenses, all are useless against a species that plans, observes, and executes like this. One small ship and we are powerless. What would a fleet of humans do? We cannot predict it. We cannot stop it." In response to an intercepted minor alien probe, the humans demonstrated discipline rather than aggression. A small alien scouting vessel approached the human ship, attempting to analyze the railgun's energy readings. The human captain allowed it to approach within safe limits, then fired a single projectile near the probe, not to destroy it, but to demonstrate precision. The shot disabled the probe's sensors without harming its structure or crew. The aliens received the data and were stunned. They realized that humans had the ability to strike with incredible power, yet chose not to harm unnecessarily. The aliens had expected fear-driven aggression, but what they saw was deliberate, controlled, and restrained. Humans did not seek to dominate. They sought to understand, to master, and to protect. Back at the council, arguments were heated. "We cannot allow humans to continue," one military advisor said. "One mistake, one escalation, and they could destroy our stations, our fleets, everything." The senior scientist shook his head. "They have shown no desire for conquest. Even when they have the power, they use it responsibly. Attacking them now could provoke the very aggression you fear. Humans are not reckless. They calculate, they prepare. That is why they are dangerous." Meanwhile, the humans continued their controlled tests. They used the railgun to move massive asteroids, shatter smaller targets, and observe complex energy interactions in space. Each shot was studied, analyzed, and improved. The crew discussed results calmly, shared insights, and refined calculations. Their focus was knowledge and precision, not destruction. The aliens began to notice another pattern. Humans worked together seamlessly. Each member of the crew had a role, and every action was coordinated. This was not just technology. It was discipline, training, and intelligence applied collectively. Every experiment reinforced the idea that humans were not only strong, but adaptable and clever beyond expectations. A senior alien researcher spoke to the council quietly. "Their power is immense, but so is their restraint. They have the knowledge to destroy entire moons, yet they choose to use it responsibly. This is not recklessness. This is mastery. We cannot fight a species like this. We can only learn from them." alien spies intercepted further communications. They recorded the humans discussing the next stage of the railgun tests. The humans spoke calmly about increasing velocity, improving accuracy, and testing energy limits. They were methodical, prepared, and unafraid. The aliens realized that humans were not only powerful, they were also strategic. Each improvement was deliberate, not accidental. The human crew then decided to test the railgun at its maximum theoretical range. They chose a distant, abandoned asteroid field. Every calculation was checked and double-checked. The engineer adjusted the magnetic coils, ensuring the projectile would maintain velocity and accuracy. The captain monitored energy levels, ready to adjust power as needed. When the shot was fired, the projectile traveled millions of kilometers with perfect precision, striking multiple targets in sequence. The resulting destruction was controlled and calculated. The crew recorded every detail, noting minor effects and unexpected interactions. They discussed adjustments, tested simulations, and prepared for the next experiment. The humans were calm, confident, and completely in control. The aliens, watching from their station, were increasingly panicked. Every simulation, every defensive plan, every prediction had failed. Humans were smarter, faster, and more precise than any race they had encountered. Their railgun was not just a weapon, it was a demonstration of skill, preparation, and intelligence. The aliens realized that their assumptions about humans were not only wrong, they were dangerously wrong. The council met once again. Tension filled the chamber. Military leaders argued for immediate action, for strikes to limit human development. Scientists warned that aggression could provoke disaster. The senior researcher spoke slowly. Humans are not aggressive. They are precise. They are strong, but they choose restraint. Our fleets, our weapons, our plans, they cannot defeat a species like this. We can only observe, learn, and hope. We are not challenged. As the humans completed their test, they received signals from nearby stations reporting minor alien activity. The captain decided not to engage aggressively. Instead, they demonstrated further control, moving objects with precision and preparing defensive maneuvers if needed. The humans remained calm, focused, and disciplined. Every action was calculated, every decision deliberate. Back on the alien station, fear had grown into awe. The scientists and commanders realized that humans were not just powerful. They were a new standard of intelligence, skill, and restraint. One small ship, one crew, one railgun, and they had shattered the assumptions of an entire species. The aliens had no answers, only questions. The part ended with the aliens realizing the truth. Humans were disciplined, clever, and extraordinarily powerful. Their railgun was more than a weapon. It was proof of their skill, intelligence, and restraint. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and they would never make that mistake again. For the first time, they were not just observing a species. They were watching a force that could change the balance of the galaxy. The alien council had never felt such uncertainty. Humans were no longer distant observers, no longer a curiosity to study. They were a force the council could not predict, could not stop, and could not fully understand. Every day, the human railgun tests grew more precise, more powerful, and more controlled. The aliens realized they were facing a species that combined intelligence, discipline, and technology in ways the galaxy had never seen. The human vessel moved steadily toward a neutral sector, a safe area chosen for observation and controlled experiments. The crew was calm, focused, and deliberate. They discussed plans for the next railgun test, adjusting energy distribution, improving projectile design, and verifying all systems. Each crew member understood their role perfectly. Each calculation was precise. Each action was deliberate. They did not seek conflict, but they were prepared for any scenario. Alien observers were growing anxious. One pale-skinned commander addressed the council. "We cannot strike them. Any attempt would fail. Our weapons are ineffective against a species that plans and calculates this well. Even our best fleets would be destroyed by a coordinated human strike. The senior scientist nodded. We have underestimated them for too long. They are clever, precise, and disciplined. Their railgun is only one part of their capability. We cannot ignore their intelligence. Every test shows not just power, but control and understanding. The humans prepared to test the railgun at a new extreme. They targeted a distant asteroid belt, calculating trajectories with incredible precision. The engineer adjusted the magnetic coils and energy flow to maximize speed and accuracy. The captain monitored systems and guided the calculations. When the shot fired, the projectile moved faster than ever, striking multiple asteroids with perfect timing. Debris scattered in controlled patterns, and each impact was carefully recorded. The crew analyzed the data immediately, noting slight improvements for the next test. The aliens watched in awe and fear. Their sensors could barely track the projectile. Their simulations failed to predict the impacts. Humans were not reckless. They were calculating, precise, and extraordinarily intelligent. One alien scientist muttered, "They control every variable. They understand everything they touch. Even with immense power, they are disciplined." The council met urgently. Military leaders argued for containment or preemptive action. Scientists warned against aggression. Humans are not aggressive, one argued. They have shown power, but they have chosen restraint. They do not seek to dominate, only to understand and prepare. Any attack on them could trigger consequences we cannot manage. The decision was made to open diplomatic communication. A small alien delegation traveled to a neutral station to meet the humans. The meeting was tense. The human captain greeted the delegation calmly, without arrogance. The humans explained the history of their species, their survival on a dangerous world, and their philosophy of preparation, knowledge, and responsibility. They demonstrated that their railgun was designed for defense, precision, and controlled power. The aliens listened in disbelief. Every explanation, every demonstration, reinforced the realization that humans were far beyond anything the aliens had expected. They had assumed humans were weak, slow, and predictable. They were wrong. Humans were disciplined, intelligent, clever, and strong. Their railgun was not just a weapon, it was proof of their understanding, skill, and restraint. The alien council returned to their station, reflecting on the meeting. The senior scientist spoke to his colleagues. "We have underestimated humans for generations. Their technology is impressive, but their intelligence and discipline make them a force beyond calculation. They are not cruel. They are not reckless. They are masters of preparation and skill. We cannot fight them. We can only learn from them and hope to coexist." The humans left the neutral station, returning to their experiments. They continued testing, recording, and improving their railgun. Each shot was deliberate, precise, and controlled. Every test provided new data, new understanding, and new mastery. They were calm, confident, and entirely focused on learning. Back on the alien station, the scientists and commanders continued to analyze human data. They realized the full scope of what they had witnessed. One alien muttered, "One ship, one crew, one weapon, and they have changed everything. We are no longer the most knowledgeable observers. Humans are stronger, cleverer, and more disciplined than we imagined." The aliens had no answers, only questions. They could not predict the limits of human technology. They could not challenge their skill. They could not ignore their intelligence. Humanity had risen quietly, deliberately, and with a mastery that left the galaxy in awe. As the story concluded, the aliens recorded their final reports. They acknowledged that humans were not just powerful, but disciplined, intelligent, and restrained. They had underestimated humanity at their own peril. The human railgun had proven that skill, preparation, and knowledge could surpass size, speed, and conventional strength. The aliens would never make the mistake of underestimating humans again. In space, the human ship moved steadily through the stars. The crew continued their work, calm and deliberate. Their railgun tests continued, each one a step toward mastery, each one a lesson in precision and control. The humans were not seeking dominance, but they were prepared, skilled, and unafraid. The aliens watched, recorded, and learned, filled with awe, fear, and respect. Humanity had proven itself, not through conquest, but through intelligence, discipline, and mastery of the universe around them. They were a force to be recognized, a species to be respected, and a standard the galaxy could not ignore.